Let's talk about Jaxson Dart, quarterback prospect coming over from Ole Miss. Now, 7 to 8 months ago, Jaxson Dart was regarded as a quarterback that could possibly be taken in the second or third round. Over the last 2 months, there's been a lot of discussions about Jaxson Dart and to why he could possibly be a top 10 or a top 15 pick. If you listen to the national media, a lot of analysts are saying the New York Jets should take a swing. They're saying possibly the Seattle Seahawks, they could take a swing before they sign Sam Darnold. The same with the Steelers and the Los Angeles Rams. This is not to be disrespectful towards Jaxson Dart. The national media, they have a job to do. They go out there and they hype up certain prospects to basically drum up interest in the NFL draft from night 1 and to night 2. And I feel bad for the prospects because while you're going out there for entertainment's sake and that value, you're hurting the players. They show up. And they go to the green room. They show up to draft day. They're expecting to get drafted. You look at Will Levis a couple of years ago. It didn't work out. Many people were banging the table. Will Levis should go in the first round. Will Levis should go into the first round. He was a second round pick. We've seen this before with Geno Smith. Many said that he should be a first round pick. He was a second round pick. The national media came out. They put all their muscle behind Zach Wilson. Remember when people were saying that Zach Wilson could possibly be a better prospect than Trevor Lawrence? I'll never forget when Tony Romo said that Zach Wilson could be the next Patrick Mahomes. This is what the national media does. Jaxson Dart is a solid quarterback coming out of Ole Miss, but he should not be taken in the first round. I have a second to third round grade on Jaxson Dart. He's my third best quarterback in this draft class. This is a weak quarterback draft class. I have Cam Ward as 1A. I have Shedeur Sanders in a class of his own, and then it's Jaxson Dart. And it's not me saying that Jaxson Dart won't be successful in the NFL. The only team that should possibly take a swing on Jaxson Dart in the first round would be the Steelers. And they have to be careful here because they did the same thing with Kenny Pickett just a few years ago in another weak quarterback class. The only reason why I'm saying the Steelers should possibly take him in the first round, they need a quarterback for the future. They're still waiting on Aaron Rodgers. So right now, as I record this video, he hasn't signed anything. They have Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson. Neither one of those guys are going to be future franchise quarterback for the Steelers. I look at Jaxson Dart. He could possibly work out in that system with Arthur Smith and with Mike Tomlin. You look at the wide receivers that they have, DK Metcalf, George Pickens. I look at the Los Angeles Rams in the second or third round. That would be a great spot for Jaxson Dart because he could sit behind Matthew Stafford and they can move on from Matthew Stafford. Or if Matthew Stafford wants to retire, you go into that direction. It seems like Matthew Stafford is going to retire a Los Angeles Ram. You may stick around him for the next 2 to 3 years. Jaxson Dart gets to sit down for a couple of years. Then you ease him into the game plan. And we've seen this before with quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, with Jordan Love and Patrick Mahomes. You sit them down for a year or two, in certain cases, 3 years, they'll be better off with that. But to get into the game with Jaxson Dart, his strengths and his weaknesses, I want to start off with his weaknesses first. Jaxson Dart comes over from a very quarterback-friendly system with Lane Kiffin. This is the same program that helped produce Matt Corral. Matt Corral was a third-round pick to the Carolina Panthers. He never worked out. He never got a true chance with the Carolina Panthers. He hurt his foot, and then the next year they went with Bryce Young. But when you look at Matt Corral, he has similar numbers to Jaxson Dart, but Jaxson Dart is a better player than Matt Corral. The reason why both of those quarterbacks have flourished with Ole Miss up to this point is a lot of RPOs. Now, college RPOs is different from the NFL RPOs. Jaxson Dart is very late on his reads with crossing routes and routes down the field. The wide receiver will be open for 2 to 3 seconds. He sees him a bit too late. He can get away with that at the college level. If you're just a second or two late in the NFL, you're going to be in trouble because every defender can go out there and they have makeup speed. At the college level, not every defensive back has that makeup speed. So he doesn't have to throw into tight windows consistently at Ole Miss, like how he's going to have to do at the NFL level. And we've heard Anthony Richardson say this, the same with Tua, Patrick Mahomes, and Bryce Young. It's a huge learning curve. This is why I'm saying sit him down for a year or two and let him develop that accuracy, let him develop that decision-making ability. But the accuracy going down the field is very hit or miss. I'm talking about the deep balls here. He doesn't have that precise accuracy to put the football to only where the wide receiver can get it. He'll put the football up there. The wide receiver has a chance, and the same with the defensive back. You don't want to be in that situation every single week, because let's just say you go against a defensive back like a Deron Bland, who was known for being a pick six goon in the past with the Dallas Cowboys. He may come down the interception. Now you're screwed. Or you go against a cornerback like Jalen Ramsey. If he's matched up on a slot wide receiver on the outside and he gets past Jalen Ramsey, you have to get the football out quick. Push that football to where only the wide receiver can get it to the outside shoulder. He could not do that consistently enough with Ole Miss. He did do it, but it was not effective enough, in my opinion, to translate over to the NFL in year number 1. The crossing routes, he has to be better here. It's a lot of times where they work off a play action part of the RPO system. Wide receivers are running across his face. He's not hitting them in stride. He's hitting them right behind. He's hitting them just below the belt. You can't have those type of plays. And as the season progressed, he did get better with that accuracy. But I look at Jaxson Dart. You have to hit those wide receivers sooner than later and clean up those crossing routes. Now, the intermediate routes, he performed very well. 10 and 15 yards out, that was the sweet spot with Jaxson Dart. He was able to get the football out on a dime. He was able to have those guys come up the field. So 10 and 15 yards out, he was very well. He can get antsy inside the pocket also. This is a quarterback that I've seen. He will rush himself into pressure. If you're hearing an analyst say that he doesn't have that much athleticism, they're lying to you, because he does have athleticism that works into his favor, but it can also work out of his favor. The pocket awareness was not elite for the first half of the season. On the back half of the season, he did look better with his pocket presence. Can that carry over to the NFL? We've seen certain quarterbacks, they come over. They started to see ghosts. They feel ghosts. They're terrible against pressure. They're terrible against the blitz. They'll just throw a lot of footballs away or just throw footballs into the dirt. You don't want to see that with Jaxson Dart in year number 1. So those are just some of the weaknesses to his game. When we talk about the strengths here, the athleticism, it's there. He was a baseball player coming out of high school mixed in with football. He did not start off at Ole Miss. He went to USC and he looked solid. He had 9 passing touchdowns to 5 interceptions. He was able to go out there and put up solid numbers in the games he was able to play in. The reason why he transferred from USC, Lincoln Riley came over and Caleb Williams came with him. He was going to be a backup at college until Caleb Williams was ready to go out there and declare for the NFL draft. So he wanted to play. He goes to Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. The first year with Lane Kiffin was a bit rocky, 20 passing touchdowns to 11 interceptions. But in 2023, 23 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 3,364 passing yards. He had 614 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown in 2022. He has wheels. He can move around. In 2023, he had 8 rushing touchdowns. He's not as athletic as Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Not many quarterbacks will be in the future. But he does have solid athleticism to where he can get outside the pocket and he can be very good with throws on the run. And we have seen this with Jaxson Dart since he first arrived at Ole Miss, even with USC. So when he's dealing with pressure and a compact pocket, he performed very well in terms of getting the football out quick and hitting those wide receivers. It's just his accuracy he has to clean up on. I like him as a prospect. And his last season at Ole Miss, 29 passing touchdowns to 6 interceptions. That's a catfish stat. He could have easily had over 10 interceptions this previous season. Down the field, he missed a lot of wide receivers. In terms of them being open, he hit them just a bit too late. And he threw a lot of questionable passes, his decision making. Against cover 3, he'll throw the football straight to the safety in the middle of the field, a rotating safety. The safety just couldn't come down with the football. In the NFL, you're going to be going against safeties like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, like Jesse Bates, like Micah Fitzpatrick. You throw that football there, 9 times out of 10, it's going to go for an interception. You don't want to put your rookie quarterback in that situation. So he has to learn when to take those deep shots down the field and when to just live to see another day. And when you look at those numbers, like I mentioned before, box score wise, didn't perform bad. When you go back, you look at film, you go back and look at some of those games, you scratch your head and you say, okay, is this really a first round pick? And my answer would be no. His rushing numbers his last year with Ole Miss, 495 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. So he has the ability to go out there and run the RPO system. Depends on how you want to run your quarterback. But I would not run him into the ground like a Josh Allen, like a Lamar Jackson. He's not going to carry the team on his back with his legs. He's going to stand inside the pocket and he's going to try to beat you with his arm every single week. And I feel like he has a little too much faith in his throw power and in his accuracy because he will get in trouble. He'll see a tight window. He thinks that he can fit it there. He just can't. Over time, you hope that you can develop that because when you look at Jaxson Dart, this is a quarterback that's still young. You still have time to fully develop him and see how he can look within the next 2 to 3 years. You should not be rushing him on the field in year number 1. But when I look at him, he's a better prospect than Trey Lance. Trey Lance only played 1 game in his last season of college because of the COVID year. He's a better prospect than Trey Lance. I'll say he's a better prospect than Kenny Pickett. He's a better prospect than Malik Willis, but that's not saying much. And I look at the body of work. He's a better prospect than Zach Wilson. There's a lot of upside here. I compare him to Jimmy Garoppolo. I compare him to a Derek Carr. I think that's his ceiling in the NFL, and those are not terrible quarterbacks. Jimmy Garoppolo has made deep playoff runs with the San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo has been to a Super Bowl before, but Jaxson Dart would not be the sole reason to why you win big-time games in the future. But he could be a serviceable starter in the future for you. You should not trade up in the first round and select him. You should not go out there and hope to play him in year number 1. Give him some time to develop on the bench and see what you fully have. But the best team fits, I would say, would be the Los Angeles Rams and also would be the Steelers sitting there with the weapons that they have on the outside. And I have a lot of questions about the Steelers because they have not developed a quarterback since Big Ben. And that was not the Mike Tomlin coaching staff. That was Bill Cowher. I really like Jaxson Dart a lot. I just don't like him enough to take him in the first round. And I wish the national media would cool down with that. There's only 2 quarterbacks that should be selected in the first round, and that's Cam Ward and that's Shedeur Sanders. And that's a maybe on Shedeur Sanders, but there's a lot of teams in the first round, they need a quarterback. And if you want to say what's the difference between Jaxson Dart and Shedeur Sanders was not able to run the RPO system because the run game was not there to help him out. He had one of the worst offensive lines in college football over the last 2 years. He did very well with pressure. He has better accuracy than Jaxson Dart, and he's more precise with his throws. He will put the football to only where the wide receiver can get it. Jaxson Dart is a better athlete than Shedeur Sanders. I'm not arguing that. But this part of the video was just for the people that are saying, what's the difference between Shedeur Sanders? What's the difference between Jaxson Dart? He's my number 3 quarterback. I have him miles ahead of Quinn Ewers, miles ahead of Jalen Milroe. But I look at Jaxson Dart, I think that he will be fine in the NFL. It just depends on where he goes. And we've seen this before. Look at Brock Purdy. He went to the San Francisco 49ers, was the last pick in the NFL draft, went to a great system, and he can ball out in my opinion. I think Brock Purdy is an amazing quarterback. But it depends on your head coach. It depends on the situation around you. He needs to go to a stable organization that's going to give him some time. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about Jaxson Dart? And do you have him as a first round pick in the NFL draft in 2025? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.